Tehran has responded with threats of its own against all ports in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman.
The criminal America's restriction on the movement of maritime vessels in international waters is an illegal act and an example of piracy. The armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran explicitly and resolutely declares that the security of ports in the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman is either for everyone or for no one. If the security of the ports of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman is threatened, no port in the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman will be safe.
The U.S. military says the blockade applies to all of Iran's ports that stretch from the Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. Vessels traveling between non-Iranian ports will be allowed to transit the Strait of Hormuz. The vital waterway transported around a fifth of global oil supplies, but it's effectively been blocked by Iran since the start of the war more than 6 weeks ago. Well, this live map shows the buildup on both sides of the waterway. The arrows in red are oil and gas tankers, and the ones in green are cargo vessels. Marine monitors show traffic has come to a virtual halt. Before the war, more than 100 ships transited through the strait each day. But since the start of the ceasefire last week, only around 40 commercial vessels have managed to cross in total. Well, let's cross live now to John Holman, who's standing by for us live in Washington, D.C. John, we're several hours now into this U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. Could you just walk our viewers through what the overall plan is and how exactly it's supposed to work?
Well, it's being reported that the United States has more than 15 warships that are in the area around the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if a vessel that's Iranian or linked to Iran goes through, then the plan is obviously that they would stop that vessel. What's being reported is that if the Iranian vessel or Iranian-linked vessel decided that it would resist that, and there would be something that's called a contested boarding, in which specialized units of Marines or Navy sails would be would then do the boarding of the ship. It's something that we've seen actually on the other side of the world in South America, especially with the blockade that happened with Venezuela. It tends to be a complicated sort of operation, but it's one that the United States has been able to do on tankers recently. Actually, interestingly, something else that has been reported is that shortly after the blockade was first announced, either a ship, an Iranian-linked vessel that was either in the Strait of Hormuz or was about to go through the Strait of Hormuz actually did manage to get through successfully and defy the blockade. That's the only one that we know of so far. Since then, it seems that the blockade has been effective.
And John, U.S. President Donald Trump, he's also suggested that communication between the U.S. and Iran, that is still happening. What more do you know about that?
Yeah, it's something that President Trump was talking about. I think we heard from him just a couple of moments ago saying that Iran badly wanted to talk. Something that also his Vice President, J.D. Vance, that actually headed up the negotiations in Islamabad on the weekend, has been speaking about to Fox News. He said that there is a grand deal to be had and said that progress has been made. There's also been a couple of news outlets on this side reporting that the US proposed to Iran a moratorium that they stop developing on uranium enrichment for 20 years. And then Iran came back with a counter proposal on Monday saying not 20 years, but 5 years, that was rejected. But that at least is a negotiating a proposal and a counter proposal between the two sides. Until very recently, it seemed there's just been maximalist demands from the United States and a complete refusal to meet them from Iran. So it does seem that during this ceasefire that still has about 9 days to run, even as things escalate, I guess, with this blockade, that there are still attempts to talk to each other and perhaps find an end to this.
All right, that's Al Jazeera's John Holman live for us from Washington, D.C. Thanks so much, John.